to the MoxStars podcast. I am Menace, one of your hosts, and I'm here with Flash.
What is up?
What's up, dude? Welcome to the show, everybody. It's another week in the lab with the MoxStars, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering and Dr. Pepper. And Don Cheadle and the Dyson Bladeless fan. Welcome to the show.
And maybe James Marsden, by the way.
And maybe if Don Cheadle doesn't quite accept us into his loving embrace, then, you know, that's our backup plan. If you'd like to support the show, you can do so by finding us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. It goes a long way to supporting the show. If you're remember, and when you're watching the show, you got to stay till the end. It's the best thing you can do for the show, for the algorithm, for the Don Cheadle. You can also support us via all podcasting platforms where you can find us, leave us a 5-star review to make us look super duper cool and help new people find the show. You can also support us via Patreon. By becoming an official Pepperhead, you can support the show. For $3 a month, you can have your name turned Dr. Pepper Red. For $5 a month, you can support us on as a Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead. Get an entry into each of our bi-weekly giveaways, which will happen next week. And then for $10 a month, you can support us. Get 2 free entries into each of our bi-weekly giveaways, like Definitely Jeremy, UWP Quirt, Aaron Becca, and Pool Boy Barry. All right. Man, there have been a ton of things to talk about this week. Edge of Eternities is on the horizon. I'm going to try to use as many space puns and galactic references as I can from the movie Galaxy Quest while we're going throughout this episode, but there are so many spoilers.
Galaxy Quest, great movie. Sorry to interrupt.
No, it's excellent. It's an excellent film. Alan Rickman. If you, what an Oscar-worthy performance.
I was going to say Shaloub.
Yeah. The whole cast was great from top to bottom. The story, everything. Love the film. Really love the film. You know the other film I love? I love Billy Madison. That's just on a side note. But I had to put it out there.
Oh no. Well, sorry. Never mind. I was going to say, isn't there a sequel to that coming out? But it's a different 90s Adam Sandler property.
Yes, Happy Gilmore 2 on Netflix soon? ? But yeah, Edge of Eternity spoilers are happening. It has been a wild roller coaster because there was all of these leaks happening where a bunch of the mythics from the set were getting spoiled, and that, Wizards of the Coast had their scheduled broadcast for this, but then somebody got their hands on a box early, and so all of a sudden it was just wherever you could get it. It was just coming to you, whether or not you liked it. So I was definitely peeking a little, but I was trying to be good. I swear I was trying to be good and wait for the proper spoilers. But this week we've gotten some, and I'm sure that by the end of this episode, or by the time this episode airs, there will be even more crazy new cards that you'll be wanting to play with in your Commander decks, in Standard. I think even a lot of these cards are potentially modern playable and definitely Pioneer playable. And here's the thing, if you want a format to play right now, Standard, it's fresh off the bands. It is whatever you can this is the creative deck builder's paradise right now. Nothing in the meta has been sorted or defined as the top deck. I will say, Insidious Roots right now, it's insane. It's one of... So if you like Taeyam, right, and you like Tyvar from All Will Be One, well, it's still in Standard.
Jubilant Brawler.
Yes, Tyvar, Jubilant Brawler. You can still play this deck in Standard. So that's the thing. It's crazy, but with Insidious Roots, it says whenever, let me pull it up so that I don't quite make a mistake here. It's a black and a green for an enchantment that says creature tokens you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color, and then whenever 1 or more creature cards leave your graveyard, create a 0/1 green plant creature token, then put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. So there are Agatha's Soul Cauldron combos that you can run with this card just right alongside it. Kind of gross. Because then all of your plants get whatever ability you steal from the creature you've exiled. And then Tyvar is like quite the enabler in this deck, because for 1 black and a green, you may activate abilities of creatures you control as though they had flash. So every plant you create can tap immediately as long as Tyvar is on the battlefield. You can also pay or +1 to untap 1 target creature, or you can -2, mill 3 cards, then return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from the graveyard to the battlefield. So it's like a mini Teom activation. But if you like that deck in cEDH, the roots, like no pun intended, the roots of that deck are in standard right now, and you can play a hyper-focused version of it that just pops off. Like I've seen a few builds with it, and creating like 8 to 10 plants a turn is not unheard of. And then you can just chain off. As long as Tyvar's on the field, you can just keep chaining and chaining and chaining. So 1 second, I gotta sneeze. And we're good. All right.
You zoomed on it. Bless you.
Thank you. All right. Yeah. So standard is a playground right now. And with all the stuff coming out in Edge of Eternities, this was the complaint I had with Magic and its design philosophy at the moment, is that after banning these things, right, it gets really exciting, and it gets like this playground opens up and you're like, ooh, what am I going to play now? Ooh, piece of candy. Right. And then you get Final Fantasy.
Marcy's playground, I smell sex and candy.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, absolutely. Whatever Flash just said, that's a
reference to a song from, I would say, 1995.
Yeah. Yes, that's what it's from. I know what you're talking about now.
Marcy's Playground was the name of the band. Sex and Candy was the name of the song.
Yes. Now, the thing with Final Fantasy is it just came out. It's all very, very exciting stuff. We've had it in our hands for maybe 6 weeks, maybe less. Yeah, I think it's been about 6 weeks, right? I think it's less. But we're already looking at Edge of Eternity spoilers, and everybody is getting excited for all of these new space-themed cards, because Magic has been putting a ton of marketing into things like the Magic Story, which if you haven't checked out the Magic Story podcast, you can listen to the Edge of Eternity story. I would not expect a Pulitzer Prize winning novel. I would expect more of a dollar store romance novel. There's no romance, but it's like that's the level of writing that you will experience. But they are putting more effort into these stories because they do realize that in the past they've definitely dropped the ball on like the immersion of these planes or the immersion of these sets, and so they definitely want to have like a story that is accessible and digestible for all those who care to follow and be truly immersed in the set. So we have, the story, all these crazy new artworks. There's the bonus sheet. There's like Dominic Meyer got a bag for this set. He has so many pieces of artwork in this. It's like crazy. He better show up at a Magic Con soon. And when he does, his line is going to be the longest you've ever seen. You're never going to get a signature from that guy unless you get there with a Black Lotus pass and all that stuff. So tons of crazy stuff. There's insects, there's Kavu, there's humans, there's crazy galactic soldiers, there's elementals, there's spacecraft, there's planets, there's robots, So this is a set in Flash. I know this is after looking at some of these cards. Something that you noted was this still very much feels like high fantasy. It still feels like a Magic set. It's great.
Yeah, within a different context.
Yeah, and it's like it feels right. There's a lobster citizen in here. So all you Zoidberg fans out there, get ready. It's legendary. You can make a Zoidberg deck. Let's go. So there's tons of crazy cards out here, and we're going to go through some of those today and talk about some of the things that we think are exciting. And, we might not even have enough time to cover all of them. But, and if there are any cards that we do not mention or any cards that you are particularly excited about, make sure you get down in the comments and let us know exactly what you're fiending for. All right. Edge of Eternities comes out, drops August 1st. So buckle up. It's on its way. Let's start with the newest stuff, and then we'll work our way down to the older stuff.
Legal on Arena before that? Right?
Yeah, it's legal. Well, I think it is August 1st, but you can have access to the cards before that. And if you play in they have like a preview event that you can do those things in. But August 1st is when they're legal for climbing the ladder. But you can play with them in the preview event before that. And then content creators get them for 24 hours. They get access to these cards 1 week before everybody else. So they get a chance to create all those fantastic videos that our viewers and their viewers love. So if you haven't checked out some of my favorite arena creators, CGB, is great. He's a legend. You got Swayze, who I think is one of the up and coming still, but just switched to full-time arena content creation, who is awesome. And then you also have Ash Lizzle, who, if you are not into watching someone respond to a chat board as she's playing the game, then might not be your thing. But Ash Lizzle is consistently in the top 500 on Mythic, with some of the craziest decks you'll ever see. So she's always playing, and she's always climbing, and she's always trying to get there. She's constantly trying to take the top spot in Mythic. So it's really an admirable grind if you want to watch and follow along with her. So yeah, let's start with. Oh man, I think this new enchantment. Okay, this new enchantment was just spoiled this morning. And this morning, I mean Thursday morning, the day before this episode actually drops. But we were just talking about these new types of tokens, and there's a new enchantment that sort of helps us transition into this conversation. It's called Bioengineered Future. It's 1 and 2 green for an enchantment that says, when this enchantment enters, create a lander token. Each creature you control enters with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each land that entered the battlefield under your control this turn. Wow. That seems good. That seems really good. So right away, the lander token. We don't quite have an image for it, but a lander token is a new type of clue/food token. So where basically it's an artifact token that's created, and it says you may pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, and then you may search your library for a basic land card, put it onto the battlefield tapped. That's crazy. It's really good. Out of all the things that have been created so far, yes, clues, awesome, right? Pay 2, sack it, draw a card, right? Draw, really great. Food, pay 2, tap it, sacrifice it, gain 3 life. Against aggro strategies, that is essential. There are certain decks that wouldn't be possible without food tokens being a thing. So like the apple poisoner card from Wilds of Eldraine is made a lot of, like, it's a mono black card that gave a lot of, like, for a while gave mono black strategies a lot of legs, just because they could survive against mono red aggro. And then now we have these lander tokens. So they enter, pay 2, tap them, create a lander. So, or search your library for a basic land and enters battlefield tap. So you get to pull a card out of the deck. It's a basic land, but what I think this does, because some of the commander cards are actually a little bit pushed for this too. Well, before I get into the commander cards, I will say bioengineered future. This enchantment is part of the main set. Each creature you control entering with an additional +1/+1 counter on it for each land that has already entered this turn is kind of crazy too, because a fetch land means that all creatures that you play this turn are going to enter with 2 additional counters, which I'm here for it. I think this is playable in a lot of commander decks. This is very, very playable, especially in, I think they're like a lot of decks that are getting gas that have existed in the past, like Halana and Elena, which is a red and a green, or it's a red and green commander. It's 2 red and green for 4 mana, 2/4 with first strike and reach. And it says that at the beginning of combat, you can put +1/+1 counters on up to 1 other target creature, equal to Halana and Elena's power. And then that creature gains haste until end of turn. So it's kind of insane, but it's like, okay, I play bioengineered future, following turn, play a fetch land, go cast Halana and Elena. Instead of being a 2/4, they're now a 4/6, and you're putting 4 +1/+1 counters on the creature you control. This card is going to be gas in there. There's a couple of other cards that are really gas with Halana and Elena as well. But yeah, I think bioengineered future has a future in very specific +1/+1 counter strategies in commander decks. I'm not sure if this will make like C play in standard. Maybe it will. There's definitely mono green landfall that is making its rounds with the Chocobos and Tifa, and the Mossborn Hydra. So
plus all the support with the Kabus in this deck, in this set.
Yeah, it might actually turn into Gruul aggro with the Lander synergy. That'd be awesome. But there are some commander cards that take crazy advantage of all of these Lander tokens, right? So there is this insectoid creature, which I am currently trying to find and filling the air with my voice, my lovely voice, until I have indeed found it. It is called Horizon Explorer. 2 and a green. Lands you control enter untapped. It's an insect scout. It's a 2/4. Whenever you attack a player, create a lander token. So this, I think, now this is kind of this is good. This is good with the landers, right? Because if you attack all 3 players, you get 3 tokens. If I'm reading that correctly, right? If I'm wrong, someone correct me, please. But Flash, that's what it sounds like, right? Whenever you attack a player,
as you're describing it, yes.
Whenever you attack a player, it's a different player. So you get another trigger. Create a lander token. So in a single turn, create 3 landers. So that has artifact synergies. It has it has obviously the basic land synergies. And this is where like landers, the point that I want to make with it is that whenever you're building like a 3, right, that like things like Horizon Explorer, you were never punished for playing lands that were non-basic, as you weren't as punished, right? Blood Moon would destroy you, but there is additional advantage to be had now by focusing on basic lands. And I think the lander tokens are going to take a little bit of that and just be like, yeah, there's no why you don't need to run duels and shocks all the time because, well, now we have lander tokens that actually provide you cheaper, better landed and artifact synergies that help you pull lands from the deck even faster than before.
Are there any legendaries with the ability to create lander tokens or synergies with lander tokens? So you have something in the command zone?
I don't think so off the top of my head. I haven't seen anything like that yet. There are the legendary spacecraft from the covers of the commander decks. So
which can be commanders.
Yeah, which is super cool. So we have Hearthhole, the World Seed. This is the Jund face commander, or the Jund face spacecraft. It has Station, which also Station is a new mechanic that allows you to tap any number of creatures you control and put charge counters on this permanent equal to the power. And then it gains the abilities as it has charge counters equal to or greater than the numbers like next to the card. So the Hearthhole says if you have 2+ charge counters, you can pay 1, tap, sacrifice a land, draw 2 cards. You may play an additional land this turn. And then if it has 8 or more charge counters, it is a flying, vigilance, and haste creature that is a 6/7 with whenever you sacrifice a land, each opponent loses 2 life. So, and it's 4 mana, 4 total mana to get that out. So it seems pretty good. And then there's Sazrel. I don't know. Insect names are hard to pronounce. But this is your secondary Jund commander that has a Crucible of Worlds type effect. And then whenever you sacrifice another non-token permanent during your turn, put a number of +1/+1 counters equal to Sarel's power on up to 1 other target creature. So cool stuff there is, and then we also have the Jeskai spaceship. Hard in spirit flagship vessel. It's 1 of each color, so blue, red, and white, and it has for 1 or more charge counters at the beginning of combat on your turn. Put your choice of a +1/+1 counter or 2 charge counters on up to 1 other target artifact. You can also, with 8+ charge counters, becomes a 5/5 flyer. Artifacts you control have hexproof and indestructible. So this is pretty crazy. I like that quite a bit. It has a lot of here's the thing, charge counters are pervasive to previous sets in Magic where they do matter, like cards with like Sunburst or like Everflowing Chalice also requires charge counters. And so like Inspirit becomes this crazy commander for like, it makes Everflowing Chalice like this really insane card because you can put 2 charge counters and up to 1 other target artifact. And so you actually, every turn, you're sort of boosting your Everflowing Chalice to be a super mega soul ring that continues to produce more and more mana. So I like that as a face commander as well.
Isn't there another card like that? Pentad Prism? Is that the one I'm looking up? That's what I'm thinking of. Pentad Prism.
I'm looking it up. Pentad? Yes, Pentad Prism is 2, and it has Sunburst. Enters the battlefield with a charge counter on it for each color of mana spent to cast it. You can remove a charge counter from it, add 1 mana of any color. Yeah. So that gets crazy too. So, wow. And that's 1 of any color. That's going to go crazy in this deck. And it's only 33 cents at the moment. So get out there, folks. Here's your speculation post or announcement for the episode. Pentad Prism. Yeah, there's so many new cool cards, so many mechanics. Lander tokens, really strong, awesome. I think they're going to go a long way. I think it helps players reprioritize what is actually powerful. Like, it's not just dual lands, it's not just shocks that, like, yeah, while yes, you do get flexibility in colors, I do think now you can still have basic lands in your deck and now have a way to enable tutoring them to the battlefield much quicker with lander tokens. There is a new mono black commander that you could play, Alpha Rael, Stone Chosen. In the story, Alpha Rael is annoying. It's very annoying character. But in card form for 5 mana, you have a card with Ward, discard a card at random, and Void, another new keyword mechanic. Whenever Alpha Rael attacks, if a non-land permanent left the battlefield this turn, or a spell was warped this turn, defending player loses half their life, rounded up. So, Void is a mechanic that just says if a non-land permanent were to leave the battlefield or a spell is warped, get X effect, right? So, that's what Alpha Rael does. There are a few other Void cards in here. Now, Warp. This is another mechanic coming to the set. Let's see if we can find the most broken Warp card in the set. There are a lot of them. There are a lot of them. Trust me. Oh, gosh. It's the Angel. It's the Angel that is the most broken one. And if you know what I'm talking about already, it makes me worried. Exalted Sunborn. It is 3 and 2 white for a Angel Wizard that is a 4/5 flying lifelink. It also says if one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. So a doubling effect. Very creative design here. It's like honestly one of the most creative things, design spaces I've ever seen. I've never read a card more creative in design than this one right here. Without even reading the warp, the fact that you're able to double anything, I don't know how you get more creative than that in today's Magic the Gathering. It's incredibly creative. Congratulations to the design team for this one. Now, Warp. This is where things get crazy. And Warp, for 1 and a white, the effect of Warp is that you, from your hand, may cast this spell for its Warp cost. So I'm really glad that Up the Beanstalk is gone in Standard because, well, I guess, yeah, it would be disgusting with a lot of these cards. We already saw the way it is with Encroach, or with the Overlords and stuff like that. The way to interact with that was always drawing cards, blah, blah, blah. But now with Warp, you can cast a spell from your hand by paying its Warp cost. At the beginning of the next end step, exile the permanent that you warped. Exile the card that was warped to the battlefield this turn with the effect. And then on a future turn, you may cast that spell from exile. So you warp this in for 1 and a white. It is a 4/5 flying lifelink. If you do not have haste, it cannot attack this turn. But the more important effect is that you get the static effect. You know, if 1 or more tokens would be created under your control, twice as many would be created instead. So 1 and a white, pop that effect onto the battlefield and pop off, right? Create all the tokens that you would need. I do see some Insidious Roots decks playing Abzan just with the +1/+1 counter synergies. So if there's, if you know you're going to pop off that turn and this falls right into your strategy, 2 mana, pow, right onto the field. Now you're creating twice as many plant tokens and you're popping off twice as hard with this Exalted Sunborn. And then it goes into exile, and it's basically like being, foretold, or it's like being suspended, but you have to
suspend, foretell. It's another flavor of that mechanic.
Yeah, it's exiled, and you can cast it from exile on a future turn. So it just stays there until you want it next. You just can't warp it again. Now, there are a few other cards in the set that have warp. I just think that this one is definitely going to be chase, like your chase mythic and chase commander card. We already have all of these doubling. Here's the thing. I was being facetious. I was being a little sarcastic earlier about the creativity of doubling effects. I don't know if you picked up on that, Flash, but we've seen this before somewhere.
I did. There was a lot of them.
Yeah, there's at least two. There's at least two of these in every set, it seems. Now, it is the laziest design space that you can now dabble in as a game designer. I'm sorry, game design, like team or whatever. This is lazy. We have a lot of this already. Think of something new, please. For the sake of entertainment on this podcast, do something new. But there are other warp spells in the set that, like Starfield Vocalist for 2 mana. God. Sorry, I just had to take a second because I read the card while I was about to. Anyway, Starfield Vocalist. If a permanent entering the battlefield causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. God, why?
This design space. Hopefully they are now, I guess maybe with Phyrexia all be one is where they really started doubling down on this design space, you might say. And maybe that's now at the end of the cycle of them all right, it's got to stop sometime is what I'm getting at.
You'd think, you'd hope, right? But they just put set mechanic on card that doubles something. Print it, ship it. Commander staple. Yeah. God. Anyway, it's a human bard 3/4. That's it. All it does is double the enter ETB effects of permanents that would trigger from permanent entering. God, that depresses me a little bit. Oh, sorry, not to get too down and low on that. Starfield Vocalist. Here's the thing: it's a mythic on the bonus sheet, basically, or in your collector booster. If you get the anime version, it's a mythic. Now, if you get the non-anime realistic human version in this, it is a rare. So this is a rare, and then it's a mythic if you want the extended art. Now, there are some definitely. Now, I must talk about how the artwork in this set is incredible, right? And there were 2 pieces of artwork that they used to market and advertise the set. One is from a common Star Breach whale. Now, this was like that big galactic whale, swimming through the gaseous solar plexus thing in the sky or whatever. It's a common. Sad. I really wanted that whale to be rare or mythic because it's such amazing artwork. And then the other card that they decided to spoil and waste its potential was the scavenger grounds that they spoiled yesterday, I think. But it was this giant Leviathan worm that was coiling through a couple planets and eating them. And I was just oh, I can't wait for that crazy worm dragon creature, that legendary massive planet eater, and see what its effect does. Mm-hmm. Well, it's a bonus sheet scavenger grounds. So sad.
Oh, bummer.
There are a few artworks in obviously there are a few artworks in Magic that are legendary, right? That just no matter what age and at what time you look at them, Surgical Extraction, we talked about a few weeks back, being one of those legendary artworks. There are a few in Yu-Gi-Oh! Even. We all know Monster Reborn. We all know, Dark Magician or Blue Eyes White Dragon. There is one card called Star Eater that is another one of those legendary artworks ever in the whole game. I was really hoping for something like that because it just looked so cool. Looked like a coiling, just eating planets. Seems so sick. All right. There are a few other warp effects. There's Halia, which is another very annoying character in the story, but warps in for 1 white mana at the beginning of your end step. Draw a card if you've gained 3 or more life this turn. So some life gain synergies there. To draw a card for 1 white mana seems good. And then whenever another Halia or another creature or artifact enters, you gain 1 life. So it being on the battlefield, you can actually trigger that whole life gain thing to get to the card draw. Quantum Riddler is a mythic sphinx in space. Has warp for 1 and a blue. When this creature enters, draw a card as long as you have 1 or fewer cards in hand. If you would draw 1 or more cards, you draw that many cards plus 1 instead. A doubling effect, but for drawing, if you have 1 or less cards in hand. And then
I don't think it's a doubling effect. It's an N+1 effect.
Yeah, basically doubling. And then there's definitely other cards with warp.
N equals 1.
What's that?
I said if N equals 1, it's a doubling effect.
Yes, it is indeed. I'm not sure if we've talked about like Sothera, the Super Void. I'm pretty sure we did in the past. It's been out for a while. We definitely talked about the Sarima. But there are tons of new cards in the set. If you are also not privy to the story, the Eldrazi are back. There are also slivers in the set, so I think that's cool. Like as far as like the world building aspect of this plane is that this is the space between planes, right? So it's only natural that with everything that we've learned and everything that we've known about slivers and Eldrazi, and even the Phyrexians, which there was a little teaser to Phyrexia with a couple of these sets, or with a couple of these cards, but it's good to see that the Eldrazi and the Noodle monsters are definitely here and present, and then the slivers also an infestation on the universe. So there is a new enchantment, Terra Symbiosis, 2 and a green. Whenever you put 1 or more +1/+1 counters on a creature you control, you may draw that many cards. Do this only once each turn. Now that is an insane card that I love. It's like green is getting so much love in this set, and it will make green viable again in a monocolor or as a support color, because now for the last, I'd say 2 years or so, green has probably been regarded as the worst or one of the worst colors in Magic. So now that we're getting all the support with +1/+1 card, like synergies and stuff like that, I really do think that cards like Terra Symbiosis bring old commander decks back to life, or make cards that weren't once viable just a little bit more strong, like a little stronger. So like Terra Symbiosis with something like Halana and Elena, like earlier, is at the beginning of each combat you put +1/+1 counters on a creature equal to Halana and Elena's power, and then it's like, okay, well, if it's just even at base stats, that's 2 counters, and so I will draw 2 cards off of Terra Symbiosis, which I think is just crazy. And then it's just like, if you boost that power, it just goes even higher, goes even further. Even the enchantment we talked about earlier with the future thing or whatever, just like play a land, a fetch land, and then the next creature you cast enters with 2 additional counters. You're going to draw 2 cards if this card is already on the battlefield. So I think it's insane. That's pretty insane. I'm really excited for the +1/+1 overlords and the for this to take over all of Magic, because this is a card draw effect that green has needed for a long time. And now that I see it, I want to rebuild like certain decks, like Marith, Will of the Wild. I used to have a dinosaur deck built around Marith, and now Terra Symbiosis goes right in there, because it's like every time I cast Marith, it enters with +1/+1 counters equal to the amount of mana cast is spent to cast it. So it's like, oh, the first time 3 counters, I'll draw 3 cards. Thank you, Marith. And then remove all the counters, and then I'll cast it again for 5. Oh, draw 5 cards off of this. Kind of gross. It's kind of gross. And then we have another really good lander creation type effect. It's called Siege Ship Impact. For 1 and a green, destroy target artifact or an enchantment. If its mana value was 2 or less, create a lander token. I think that's really good. That might be really good. There are a couple more green cards that are worth mentioning. There is Oroboroid. I think I pronounced that right. Oroboroid, 2 and 2 green, mythic plant worm. At the beginning of combat on your turn, put X +1/+1 counters on each creature you control, where X is this creature's power. I'm so glad Monstrous Rage is banned, but notably, this is a plant and works with Insidious Roots. So whenever a creature card leaves your graveyard, Insidious Roots is going to put a +1/+1 counter on each plant you control. And so it helps this get bigger. It helps everything else get bigger. This is like one of the best go wide, get big strategy cards ever, like that I've ever seen. So I'm super stoked for this because you put on each creature, including itself. So it actually gets out of control pretty quick. It doubles its own power every single turn on like in combat. So multiple combats with this is crazy. Is absolutely crazy. There's another green card, Frenzied Baloth. Now this does everything that green would ever want. It's 2 green mana. So just green for a 3/2 beast. This spell can't be countered. It has trample, haste. Creature spells you control can't be countered. Combat damage can't be prevented. That is the Questing Beast mini plus some. Like, wow. Have you ever heard of a green card that has done more than this? Like, the last thing I can think of is Questing Beast, right? It's like, this is crazy. I think this is really pushed, but I think that's where green is at.
Boring flex.
But yeah, it's the cost is just so reasonable, you know, and then it also contributes to like devotion strategies. I think this is Pioneer playable with with mono green devotion. Play this, and then you're just uncounterable for the rest of the game or the rest of the turn or whatever. Combat damage can't be prevented either, so this is going to be a menace in Commander as well for like players who run Teferi's Protection. Well, I'm sorry, the Frenzied Baloth has other plans for you. It seems really strong. It seems really good. I'm not sure if it does enough for Commander players, but it definitely does enough for. I think it definitely does enough for like aggressive mono green, like mono green aggro can definitely play this, or even mono green ramp. All right, there are a few more cards that we should touch on before we get out of here, but the End Stone being one of them. This is our mythic chonky artifact, legendary artifact from the set. But this is 7 colorless mana for a legendary artifact that says whenever you play a land or cast a spell, draw a card. That's really strong. That's a very strong effect. At the beginning of your end step, your life total becomes half your starting life total rounded up. So if you go below, you go back up. If you're above, you go down. That's supposed to be like the balancing act of it. I think in Commander, you can get this out pretty quick and then put yourself within striking distance unintentionally, you know? And then same in Standard. Like if you drop this in Standard, I think this is like a win more card. Like it's not going to keep you alive, right? You're going to have to pretty desperately like scrabble for survival if you decided to like drop this out. It's like, all right, end step, I lose. I'm going to half my starting life total. I'm going to 20, let's say, because I'm playing commander. All the other players now see that you have an effect that says whenever you play a land or draw or cast a spell, draw a card. That means attack that person, right? Because if you don't knock them out of the game, or if you don't destroy that artifact, like they're going to go they're going to get out of control. They're just going to start chaining and storming. So I like what the artifact does in the story. I think that the card design embodies what it does in the story. But this might be one of those bait cards that ends up being a trap. You put it in your deck, you play it, or you pull it and you get so excited you put it in your deck and then you lose the game because you played it. That's kind of what it feels like. We also have some more spacecraft. And a really interesting like mutiny effect, but the Eternity Elevator. So the Eternity Elevator is really interesting. It's a 5 mana legendary spacecraft. So this can also be your commander if you want to play colorless, but it taps for 3 colorless mana right away. So 5 colorless comes in, you can tap it for 3 colorless. And then if you put 20 or more charge counters on it, you can use its second effect. Tap, add X mana of any one color, where X is the number of charge counters on the Eternity Elevator. Wow. Wah, wah, wee, wah. That's a ton of mana. Here's the thing. If this is your commander, it doesn't matter. You can't add colorless mana with it if you use that effect. You can add a buttload of mana. Like, sorry. That was my Midwestern accent coming through. That's you can get a boatload of mana by tapping this or by putting 20 charge counters on it. So it basically, like, all of your creatures are storing, they can tap, but you're like storing the mana in the Eternity Elevator, and then it cashes out, sort of, in a way, but you can keep cashing it. I don't know. It's tap, add a ton of mana. And I don't know what you would do with 20 plus mana. X Commander has X in its cost, maybe? I don't know. Maybe this goes in Marith, because it would help me. Oh, that'd be crazy. Yeah, I think this is a Marith card. All right, the Mutiny card is Mutinous Massacre. I think this is going to be a board wipe that you see in Standard that wins a lot of games. But it is 3, 2 black, 2 red. So 7 mana. Now, it sounds crazy. Standard viable, maybe. Choose odd or even. Destroy each creature with mana value of the chosen quality. Yeah, quality. Then gain control of all creatures until end of turn. Untap them. They gain haste until end of turn. That is awesome. I think that's a really cool design. And it's justifiably costed. This can just straight up end the game. Like, if everybody has even creatures, just choose odd and then take control of all the creatures and punch them to death. Seems really good there. There's so many more cards to talk about. The Thrumming Hive Pool, which is a 6 mana artifact rare that has affinity for slivers. This is in Standard, by the way, so more slivers are on their way. Slivers you control have double strike and haste. At the beginning of your upkeep, create 2 1/1 colorless sliver creature tokens. That's exciting to see. We'll see how they balance slivers. Slivers have always been sort of this snowballing effect that gets out of control and becomes far too strong. And then the last things we'll talk about today, I promise, we're near the end, the Mythic Land Cycle. Now, these are all good in their own right. They might be a little unachievable. That's maybe the problem with them. But they are mythics, so you would hope that the design team has seen their potential and has sort of capped it so that they aren't broken. But they're all lands, they're planets, and they enter tapped. But they also have the station ability. So they tap for the color that they attribute to. So Sooooon Void Altar is the black planet. It is tap for black mana. And then it has for 12 plus charge counters, 1 in a black, tap, pay 2 life, sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to the sacrificed creature's power, activate only as a sorcery. So the big thing is you can only station as a sorcery. So when do these become, like, when can you designate, like, really just tap a creature, leave yourself undefended or whatever? I don't know how many creatures, when this comes into play, there are certain times during the game, and that's where they've also sort of like capped it too. It enters tapped. So even if it's late in the game and you have 12 power to be able to contribute to this, you don't even get the effect until the following turn. So part of the problem. But there's also Uthros, Titanic God Core. Now this is the blue one, the blue planet that this land enters tap for a blue as station. 12 plus, you can pay a blue, tap it, add blue for each artifact you control. We've seen that somewhere before on a banned card, Tolarian Academy. So this is a Tolarian Academy style effect that, well, becomes rather hard to achieve. Like 12 power. 12 power you got to devote to this thing. So at sorcery speed, that's where it becomes a problem. There are also other cards that have done this in the past, which I think are super slept on. Like, I don't know, Storm the Vaults, which is an enchantment from Rivals of Ixalan. For 2, a blue and a red, it's a legendary enchantment that says whenever one or more creatures you control deal combat damage to a player, create a colorless treasure artifact token with, the thing, it's a treasure. At the beginning of your end step, if you control 5 or more artifacts, transform Storm the Vault, and then it is a Tolarian Academy as well. Tap for 1 mana of any color, or tap for blue equal to each artifact you control. And it already has it. You have 5 artifacts because that was what was necessary in order to transform it in the first place. So I think that Storm the Vault is more achievable. You can set up to have 5 artifacts by the time that you get to that point, and then you get the same effect and not needing to wait a turn to activate, versus where we're at now with Uthros. So, by the way, that was a rare, not a mythic. So this is a mythic. This is going to be one of your card slots. There's also all of them are available. I just have to track them down because they've been spoiled in alternate sequences. But there's the green one, which embodies Gaia's Cradle. It has the same deal. You can station for 12 plus power, and then it can pay a green, tap it, and then add green mana to your pool equal to the number of creatures you control, which is, as we know, a very powerful effect. But Growing Rites of Itlimoc, if you are playing into that strategy of having a ton of creatures, Growing Rites does the same thing, and you don't even need to wait a turn to do it, but it does flip at the end step. But you do get an untapped Gaia's Cradle, essentially. The red one is a little bit different. It is pay 1 in a red, and then I think you have to sacrifice an artifact, but then you create a 2/2 robot, and then creatures you control get +1/+0 until end of turn. But the station is still 12 plus on that. The white one, you would hope that you get another Serra Sanctum style effect, but we do not. It is... here's Kavaron is the red one. Kavaron Memorial World. Yeah, it's pay 1 in a red, tap, sacrifice a land, and then you create a robot. And then the white one is same station for 12 plus, and then it's pay 3 in a white, and then you can tap it to create a copy of target artifact or enchantment you control, like a token copy, and you can only activate as a sorcery. And I think that's pretty much it. But you don't have to sacrifice it at the end step. You just get a permanent copy of an artifact or enchantment you control. So Pillowfort effects, Rejoice. You get another way to create another propaganda, another what's that prison card you love, Flash? Ghostly Prison.
Okay.
You love that card. The artwork on that.
Oh, you said Prism. You were calling back to Kensat Prism.
Oh, no. The Ghostly Prison, yeah. That one secret layer was sick. The Adagia Windswept Bastion is what that white land is called. So that's and then except the copy is legendary. So you can only create one copy of any given artifact or enchantment, because then the copy becomes legendary, and then you wouldn't be able to create another one because of the legend rule. So there are a bunch of really cool cards in this set. There are a lot of really cool new mechanics. There are some old mechanics coming back. There are +1/+1 counter synergies, my favorite types of things. Staple 2 enchantments, my favorite type of things. Spacecraft. We don't know how viable this is all going to be. We do think, or it's all very exciting and different. And here's the thing: get excited about it. You should get excited about it, because you're going to forget about it in about 6 weeks. Well, I would say in about 6 weeks, but it's about 4 weeks, because then Spider-Man starts to come out. So get excited about it while you can. Put these cards in your deck, play with them for that small window of time while you're excited, and then get ready to do it all over again with Spider-Man. And then after that, I don't know. What is it after that? I don't want to think that far ahead, because I want to stay excited about this high fantasy space set that's got insects and humans and robots and spaceships and robots and jellyfish warriors. You know what I mean? +1/+1 counter synergies. Come out. Sick. All right. Flash, any final thoughts on some of these cards from Edge of Eternities?
No. Looks like a cool set. Fun mechanics.
Yeah. Only time will tell how broken they are, or, like the market will tell us eventually. But yeah, it does seem like a lot of really fun mechanics. There are some creative, questionable creative choices, such as doubling effects within the set. But yeah, it seems good. The vibe is strong with this one, and the artwork is incredible. And I hope that you don't forget about it in 4 weeks' time when Spider-Man comes out, because it's a good one. It's a good one. I wonder what the draft experience will be like with how many different things are going on with this set, with warp and blah blah this that. Anyway,
yeah. What are the different archetypes for draft?
I'm looking at it all, and it's like there are within the story, and I'm sure they're trying to like mirror this as well, is that there are different factions of humans. So like the Monoists and like the Cosmic Grand Zeniths and stuff like that. Like they're opposing forces. And then the Monoists don't really have issues with the Kavu. So I'm guessing that the Monoists are more like your green, red, I guess black too. Like Alpha Rael is definitely a Monoist in the story. But then like I guess white and red would be like your Cosmogrand sort of like color section. So I think Boros is going to be like Boros go wide tokens because of Cosmogrand Zenith and a couple of other things. Like you can also do spacecraft with that, with like the Debris Field Crusher or Dawnsire Sunstar Dreadnought. That's also a Cosmogrand spaceship. So there are all of those options with that. The robots are part of the insect faction as well, which care a lot about lands. So like the Tapestry Warden, which is an uncommon 3 and a green robot soldier, has vigilance, and then it's a toughness matter cards, or it's a toughness matters card. Each creature you control with toughness greater than its power stations permanents using its toughness rather than its power. And then each creature you control with toughness greater to its power assigns combat damage equal to its toughness rather than its power. So, and then its flavor text is Drix never leave their worlds defenseless. So, the robots are like sort of like insect sentries. Yeah. There's jellyfish warriors from Uthros. And yeah, I think it'll be your standard sort of draft, like, you know, it's all designed similarly, I'm sure. Like Kavu will be Gruul, of course. Insects will be green, blue, with some maybe a little bit of Sultai. And then yeah. That put me on the spot with that one, but didn't do too bad. All right. Well, this has been the MoxStars podcast, the #1 podcast on the internet for Magic the Gathering. Dr. Pepper, Don Cheadle, and the Dyson Bladeless fan. And if the thing with Don Cheadle doesn't work out, definitely James Marsden. So if you'd like to support the show, you can find us on YouTube, where you can like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more notifications. You can also find us on all podcasting platforms. Give us a 5-star review. Make us look super duper cool. Help new people find the show. You can also support us via Patreon by becoming an official Pepperhead for $3 a month. Have your name turned Dr. Pepperhead on the Discord server. You can also support us and also gain entry into each of our bio giveaways by becoming a Cherry Vanilla Pepperhead. And then you can also support us at the 2-liter tier for $10 a month. Get 2 free entries into each of our Bioki giveaways. You can also support us in the MoxStars Dr. Pepper Lounge, like Ravenlift. And that's for $50 a month. You get a free hat, 3 entries into each of our Bioki giveaways. And if you're in it for a full year, which Ravenlift is turning the corner. I think it's this month that Ravenlift gets the 1-of-1 bucket hat created. So it's unreal. It's unbelievable, but it is happening. The 1-of-1 bucket hat
is coming to fruition.
It is being created. A crown for a MoxStar Hall of Famer, Ravenlift. Hell yeah. Super stoked to get that in, get that out to you, Ravenlift. Thank you so much to everybody for your support. We truly do appreciate it. And we'll catch you next time on the MoxStars podcast. Peace.
See ya.